If you've got back pain, it's not your typical core exercises like crunches that are going to fix it. Back pain is fixed by retraining your core to actually stabilize, support, and protect your spine. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that now. Saying that your core is your six pack or your abs is a very narrow way of looking at it. There's much more involved. Think about your core as like a can of Coke. So when it's unopened and full of liquid, you can squeeze it and try and twist it, and it's quite rigid and strong. If you crack the can, tip of the liquid out, it becomes quite weak and you could crumble it quite easily. So we want to teach you to have a nice robust core from all angles that's like a full can of Coke. There are two main parts to your core, your inner unit and your outer unit. Your inner unit comprises of your transverse abdominis, your multifidus, your pelvic floor, and also your diaphragm. Whereas your outer unit is more your rectus abdominis, your six pack, your internal obliques, external obliques, and then all your lumbar rector muscles. So it is important to be able to both hollow and brace in isolation. Hollowing is going to be more linked neurologically to your inner unit muscles. Bracing is going to be more linked to your outer unit muscles. It's very important to be able to hollow in isolation, and if you can do that effectively, when you brace, both your inner unit and your outer unit muscles should engage simultaneously. So hollowing is more drawing your belly button in, drawing your pelvic floor up, and you can see it has that kind of effect. However, there's no rigidity in any of my external muscles. There's no activation really in my back or my sides when I hollow. But it is important to be able to do this in isolation. Hollowing is not going to be very effective if we're wanting to bend over and pick something up quite heavy. That's when we need to be able to brace. So bracing is going to be more of a expansion, contraction of everything. So imagining someone's going to punch you in the stomach, and so you want to contract, but you also want to be able to shallowly breathe while you're contracting. So bracing is going to more look like this. And you'll see everything. You see all my back muscles, my side muscles, everything engage, and it's more of an expansion rather than a drawing in. So that's how it looks when I brace. And it is a bit harder to talk, but like hollowing, bracing. So a quick drill you can do right now is actually do a brace and just do 3 breaths. So brace, and then just do 3 breaths. You'll notice if you're bracing effectively, you won't be able to breathe as deep or naturally as you normally could because your diaphragm won't be working as effectively. Here's 4 exercises that are going to help train all aspects of your inner unit. So exercise number 1 is going to be a bird dog, and with all 4 of these exercises, we want to be hollowing our core. So we're going to go on our hands and knees, opposite hand, opposite knee. We're just going to go back and forth. And we don't want to be focusing on overextending or overreaching. We want to be focusing on keeping our core nice and still, preventing any rotation or tilting, just keeping everything nice and rigid, and going through and doing this exercise while hollowing our core. So exercise number 2 is going to be a dead bug with transverse abdominis activation. So again, drawing the belly button in, hollowing, and you can have one hand under your back, one hand on your stomach. We want to minimize any change in shape in our spine, really keeping everything nice and still, with our belly hollowed, our pelvic floor drawn up. For our diaphragm, we want to do 360-degree breathing. So we want to have expansion of our whole midsection, not just our belly, but our whole midsection. So you can go hands on your hips, hands on the side of your midsection, of your core, and you want to breathe slowly through your nose, and we're just going to go deep breathing, feeling the expansion on every area of your core. So I can feel my back expanding, my sides expanding, my front expanding into my hands. My chest and rib cage isn't coming up, I'm just breathing into my midsection. For pelvic floor activation, we basically just want to draw everything underneath up. So imagine your private parts, your bum, you want to squeeze everything and draw it up, suck it up and draw it up towards your belly. So this is actually quite a light exercise. You should still be able to talk, you should still be able to breathe, you should still be able to feel pretty normal. There shouldn't be any crazy straining or anything like that. Just draw up, hold, and then relax. Draw up, hold, and relax. And you should be able to talk while you're doing it. Okay, so these next exercises are now focused on your outer unit core. So this is a weighted dead bug, really great for challenging the rectus abdominis. Ultimately, it's a anti-extension exercise, so you really want to pull your ribs and hips hard together, keep your lower back hard into the floor. This is a standard prone plank. Again, really pulling our ribs and hips hard together, working the anterior core hard. This is a suitcase carry, awesome anti-lateral flexion exercise. So really going to work all those lateral flexors to ultimately be able to keep your trunk upright when you've got torsion coming from the side. This is a great exercise as well, side plank with a knee drive. It can just be a standard side plank, but again, going to work all those lateral core muscles very well. So here we have a Pallof press. You're going to have a band or a cable pulling you from the side. You want to press straight out, squeeze your glutes really hard, brace your core really hard, and obviously the band or the cable is going to want to pull you around, and you've got to resist that rotation. So this is going to be an epic anti-rotational core exercise to really strengthen those internal, external obliques. Now we have some anti-flexion exercises. Flexion tends to be a big driver of back pain, especially disc bulges. This is a 45-degree back extension. You'll see I've got a nice neutral spine. My lumbar extensors are getting a good workout, but I'm really also challenging my glutes. All right, and then we have a dumbbell Romanian deadlift. So similar hip hinge pattern. Again, isometric contraction of all the lumbar extensor muscles, erector spinae, etc., which makes this an awesome anti-flexion exercise, strengthening all of those muscles. Also, it's a great glute workout. Then we've got a single leg hip thrust. So great glute exercise, and glutes are very important because they have a massive impact on the pelvis, which is ultimately where your spine sits, so it has a huge influence on your lower back. But also, this is a great anti-rotation exercise because I'm using one leg. There's a bunch of core exercises that are really going to give you, something to be able to hit your core, your inner unit, your outer unit, from all the different angles, all the different important muscles in your inner unit and your outer unit. So give some of them a try. You may not need to use all of them. You may just need to use a couple. You might just need to use one or two from each inner unit and outer unit group of exercises to really hit your individual weak points. This is where an assessment and an individualized program comes in really handy. So here's a pretty cool example of what quite a comprehensive core routine could look like to really build a robust and solid core that creates a pain-free lower back from pretty much every angle. The reason why we train our core is not necessarily to get a six-pack. A six-pack is nice, but that mainly comes down to body fat percentage. The reason why we train our core is to have a strong, resilient, robust core that is, pain-free and functional, and it gives us the performance we want from all angles, from our inner unit, from our outer unit. That is the reason why we train our core, and that is what allows us to perform how we want to perform in life. If you have been struggling with pain and you can't figure it out, or if you would like to have a specific plan built for you that is going to meet you where you're at and build your performance to get into that pain-free place, or get into ultimately better performance so you can do more of the things you want to do in life, I'll leave my link below. Feel free to book in a call. Feel free to connect on social media. Love to have a chat with you.